quarterly meeting of Yosemite Gateway Partners. And for those that know, we'll be recording this. So hopefully everybody's okay with that. Thank you, Becky, for doing that. Again, welcome to our quarterly meeting. And we have a great program set up for you today. I would like to do is share a little bit. We had a retreat, the board of directors for Yosemite Gateway Partners, your board of directors had a retreat a couple weeks ago. We went through and sort of evaluated what is YGP, why do we need YGP, and probably the best way to summarize that is we believe strongly in the Yosemite National Park and believe strongly in the communities that support the park and that it's intertwined. So what we do together is very important, and how we do it is critically important. So we'll have more information on that that we'll provide in the newsletter coming up. And again, I apologize for that, but we had one of the staff that was not had an illness, so it kind of delayed things a little bit, but we'll get that out to you here soon. So again, thank you for joining us today. What I'm going to do is we had a little bit of a shift this morning in our schedule. Unexpectedly, Derek was unable to join us this morning. So, but Tara, and I think Scott's going to help her. But I'm going to turn it over to Tara, and she's going to talk a little bit about what Derek was going to share this morning in a very abbreviated form. So Tara, welcome, and I'll turn the program over to you. And I guess before we get, I meant to mention, if you could please mute yourself, that would be great, unless you have a question, and then we'll do that. So Tara, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And this is very impromptu, as Jeff said. Derek Kirk was unable to join us this morning last minute. So I am going to jump in and just briefly describe what he was going to talk about. Let me introduce myself first to all of you who don't know me. I'm Tara Schiff. I'm the Economic Development Specialist with Mariposa County. I've been with the county for almost 10 years now, and I have been to many YGP meetings and look forward to being in more in the future. So basically, in a nutshell, I had talked to Derek, who is our representative to the Governor's Office of Business Development, some time ago. He actually came down to Mariposa, visited our region, and he had mentioned to me about a month ago, and I got him into a meeting with Jeff and Jonathan Farrington that Visit California actually was applying for a grant through the Economic Development Administration, the EDA, through the America Recovers Plan Act, that's the ARPA. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but the grant was for $45.9 million. And the applications were submitted. I was told by Derek this morning they're awaiting a response from the EDA. But where I wanted to get this information out to our local DMOs is that Visit California, and a lot of you probably know this already from being on the VCA meetings. VCA has proposed to the EDA the use of $5 million to fund tourism strategic plans in each of the 12 tourism regions across the state. Those plans would align with a recently drafted destination stewardship plan, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show that. Created by Visit California, it would look to bridge tourism and economic development for local communities. GoBiz hopes to have more information soon. In addition, and let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. I'm going to show you.
You should have access now, Tara.
Okay, got it. Here you go. Can everyone see this? And I'm going to go ahead and drop this URL into the chat too, so you guys can spend some more time and look this up. This is what GoBiz said that VCA has in mind for the $5 million strategic plans. So, and let me go ahead and I'm going to drop that URL into the chat box for you guys too. So in addition, let me share some more information too, while I have you guys in front of me. Derek also shared that the state will soon be rolling out the Community Economic Resilience Fund, a $600 million fund recently approved by the governor to support regional planning efforts for high road economic development and implementation of shovel-ready projects. And he said that they're really hoping that local DMOs will sit at those tables to discuss and have some input on that $600 million, particularly in a region like ours, he said. So I really felt like it was appropriate for this organization to know about these funds and kind of get ahead of the curve. And I think they're talking about being awarded in the next couple of months and then starting implementation. What did you say, Jeff and Jonathan? Was it Q2? Start implementation Q2. So I thought if we could start talking about this in October, you guys will have a heads up and be ahead of the game when this money comes down the pipe. So I probably can't answer. I can try to answer questions, but just really wanted to get that information out, and I'll be happy to keep everyone updated as we hear more. So I think that's it.
Great, thanks, Tara. I appreciate that. If there are any questions for Tara, you're welcome to put them in the chat. She might be able to respond to those, or if you have anything immediate, if you could raise your electronic hand under the reactions button, we can do that. But if there isn't any at this particular point, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan, who's going to, Jeffrey has a question.
Thank you. Yeah, one quick question is, do you know if these funds will fund studies on economic impact from park closures, et cetera, or is it mostly infrastructure?
No, the funds, the $5 million fund is absolutely strategic plans, which would be studies too. So that's more of TA, technical assistance, where the other funding is infrastructure. The second pot of money that I talked about is infrastructure. The first money from the ARPA is definitely TA, technical assistance. So that would fund studies. And so I can't answer that.
I'll look more into it. We can follow up. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. Scott.
Hey, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
We're good.
You,
okay.
Scott.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, thank you, Tara. And yeah, this truly was last minute. So thank you. I just wanted to add a couple of things to that, if I could, just kind of stepping back a little bit, is that when Tara put up the destination stewardship plan, I was very honored to be able to work on that. Visit California came up with a committee a couple of years ago, and it was talking about destination stewardship and also sustainability and visitor management and things like that. And so we came up with that plan kind of in a bigger generic picture. And then as we are in the pandemic and there's the responsible travel code. As we move forward, what Visit California is really got a keen eye on, which I think is wonderful and relevant for all of you, is the fact that we're really at a not a tipping point, but a turning point is a better way of basically saying, look, you've got destinations like, of course, here in Yosemite National Park, but also, places like Monterey, Big Sur that are incredibly popular, and that the days of just saying tourism, come here, get as many people in, it's just not sustainable for a lot of reasons that we all know. And so what Visit California is doing is kind of pivoting in the sense of, look, let's put together these plans to promote tourism still, but at the same time, look at sustainability, look at environmental impacts, look at public health, look at all of those kind of things. And so in working with Ryan Becker, the VP of Communications, who I work closely with, and Jonathan and a lot of the other folks from the DMOs, is that Visit California is really going this way. And so the nice thing of the trajectory of this that Tara mentioned is that there are these funds, and that when there's the different regions, we would look at it at like the study, and it would be as a gateway. So it would be basically all of the 4 gateway counties and a lot of different stakeholders and us. And it would be a way of saying, look, we certainly want to promote tourism in the region, but we can't just say, let's pack as many in, and doing it in a smart way, in a responsible way, and a sustainable way. And so I think that as we move along, this is all new, but the studies that they've been talked about, it would be something that would be driven by all of us as a region. And so, it's unfortunate that Derek couldn't be here, but as Tara mentioned, it would be not someone, it's not no one saying this is what you should do. It's all of us coming in, one industry, one dream, and that dream, of course, is economic vitality. And of course, with the pandemic, we all want that, but at the same time, we know here in Yosemite, the sustainability issues and the visitor management and all of that is really critical. And the last thing I'll say quickly is that Visit California is keenly aware of that, and they know that Yosemite is an international icon. And so a lot of the things that we do, although we're certainly one quote unquote destination, how we do this stuff is has a lot of impact on the state. So Tara and the county have been wonderful, and thank you. And all of the DMO partners, and Jeff, thank you. And this is really exciting. So we think it's a good path for us all to move forward together. All right, I'll leave it at that.
Great, thanks, Scott. Rosemary.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Scott. I don't know if you were on the call when Bob Gardner was talking about the Eastern Sierra Sustainable Recreation Partnership. I think I got that right. But it's something I covet, shall we say, in the Merced River Canyon. And I've started a conversation just pretty recently here. And I'm wondering, is there an intent on the part of the folks that you're talking with to try to leverage off of programs like the ESSRP? I'm so sorry, I'm still getting used to this.
A lot of acronyms.
But I mean, can we leverage off of things like that?
Yes, yeah, the short answer is yes. And that's what's interesting, because there's a lot of these initiatives, and we've got some exciting news that we're going to share in a little bit on the east side. And so we have started to engage with that group, and I didn't hear all of what Bob is saying, but I am familiar with it. And so that's what's going to be interesting, is that with the Visit California, this will provide hopefully this big grant, and then we'll be able to do this study, and then that will basically encompass all of the individual efforts. And so again, this is one of the things we all want to do kind of with YGP. It's not someone taking over, or we're not going to do that anymore. It's synthesizing and adding all the strengths together. And I think that's a really good approach. And so I know that in some of our preliminary discussions, we've talked about some of the efforts on the East Side group, and I saw Stacy just put the link in, thank you, and all of them. And it's basically getting the collective efforts for the greater good. And so that's kind of the plan, and we'll certainly, I have full confidence. And that's why right away when Tara came up and we met, I know that she reached out to Jonathan. We said, look, we need to have both Visit California and Yosemite Gateway partners involved, just so everybody has a voice in this, and we can just move forward together.
Great. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. As I'm sure comes as no surprise, Dean Gould is interested in this conversation as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the forest. Yeah. The forest. Exactly. So no, there's a lot of excitement ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary.
Great.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
And Tara, did you have anything else before I turn it over to Jonathan or that? And Scott, you guys, thank you very much
Good.
for
That's it.
mentioning here.
Thank you, Tara.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll be happy as I hear information about those funds. I'll keep everybody up to date. I'll keep you up to date, Jonathan and Jeff. So
Great.
that this organization knows what's happening. So,
Great. Well, thank you. Appreciate it for you guys,
absolutely.
for
Yep.
you and Scott stepping in there. So we do truly
No
appreciate
problem.
that.
That's what we do. Yep. Part of my job. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. All right. I think, Jonathan, I'm going to turn it over to you and your DMO colleagues to get us to the 11th hour. Then we'll be turning it over to Scott and Cicely and the great crew at the Yosemite National Park. So, Jonathan, you have the floor.
Great. So can everybody see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay. Then we will go ahead and start to share. And interesting. I'm not getting the view I need to get. So one moment. All right. Well, appreciate everybody's time today and attention. We, as the DMOs, I guess we really couldn't have had a better intro in some ways. I mean, all the things that Scott talked about and Tara talked about as it relates to Visit California show that Visit California is the destination management organization for the state of California. They're clearly not only focused on marketing and bringing tourism to the state, but are dealing with management issues that deal with many aspects of the impacts on tourism. They're been highly involved in communication when it comes to crisis management, fires, over tourism, and how visitation works in the state. So what I'll say today is that the DMOs, or destination marketing organizations surrounding the national park, are speaking today. Each of the DMO works together, but we're all organized and funded and managed very differently. We'd originally planned a panel discussion, but ultimately all agreed that fast individual presentations would cover more ground. We will each be covering different specific programs, some related to COVID-19, but also some general communications efforts and the things that we've made in our region, as well as examples of the types of marketing programs, some of the results and channels that we engage in and achieve. So the DMOs are the community's communicators. And I will share that we've all been somewhat frustrated because we need communication from our state, federal, and county agencies and organizations to amplify and educate the public. So the gateway communities include Mono County, Tuolumne County, Mariposa County, and Madera County. And we have a representative from each of those areas. And I'll start with Jeff Simpson.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to see you all on here. Thank you, Jonathan. Before I get into the Mono County specific update, I did want to give everyone an update on the Visit California Poppy Awards, which was almost 2 years ago. It was the last time we all saw each other in person. But every 2 years, Visit California puts on an awards dinner for the best marketing social media campaign, PR campaign in the state. And our 4 gateways and the park was selected as the best destination stewardship award by Visit California. And we submitted an application along with the park for our work that we did several years ago with the traffic congestion and the marketing and the input that we put into educating visitors before they get into the park to make sure that they're arriving early, to make sure they're aware of the public transportation, and to avoid peak times, specifically, those weekends in July, it just gets so busy. And so with the park's leadership, we were able to execute that and turn it into Visit California, and we were awarded the Poppy Award 2 years ago. But really, we couldn't have done this without park leadership. And again, special thanks to Scott Getterman and his staff for bringing us together to solve these regional issues. Go ahead, Jonathan, to the next slide. So starting now with the Mono County updates. And really, you know, a lot of this is the transition from, you know, destination marketing to really destination stewardship or destination management. And I'll take you back to kind of when we first were opening up from the pandemic, from the hard closure. We felt here at Mono County Tourism that the best use of our funds, the best use of our time was to educate our visitors about what we expect when they come to visit our destination. And first and foremost, we expected them to be wearing masks. And so we put this campaign together, mask mandatory in Mono. And this is something that was printed out and put on every business door. We put a billboard out. We did social media, both advertisements in our drive market from California, Nevada, and then also in market. So when they were in our destination, they were getting delivered these ads, so they knew what to expect. So this one here, if you guys have never been to Mono County, you know that fishing is very, very big here. And so we have the fishing mask. This one here is, yeah, thank you, Jonathan. It says, go back to the fishing one if you don't mind. Yeah, some days you'll get eaten alive without a mask. Now it's just a different kind of bug. Go ahead, Jonathan, the next one. And this other one here is, we got this. For people used to protecting their brains, wearing a mask is a no-brainer. So we had 4 of these and just kind of made sure that our visitors were educated before they arrived to Mono County. And that was our mask branding outreach campaign. Go ahead, Jonathan, the next one. So the other thing that kind of came up for us as, you know, urban California descended on rural California is just the etiquette of our visitors. So we launched this several years ago. It's called Mountain Manners. But we felt that just saying leave no trace or recreate responsibly kind of wasn't going far enough. We really needed to dissect the things that we needed our visitors to do, specifically like burying human waste 8 inches deep and packing out your toilet paper, things like not tagging our sensitive areas like our hot springs and our lesser known areas that we don't have infrastructure to support that type of visitation. So our Mountain Manners campaign, we really hit home, put a lot of money into it, both again, educating our visitors before they get in the car and drive up, and then when they're in market to make sure that those ads are delivered to them while they're actually doing their recreation. Go ahead, Jonathan, the next slide. And then Supervisor Gardner, he stole all my thunder on the Camp Like a Pro campaign, but this is really spurred by the ESSRP. And this is a multi-agency effort, as Supervisor Gardner said. The county, all our federal agencies, nonprofits, just volunteers throughout the community, we all came together to solve this issue, which was dispersed camping. And again, as urban California descended on rural California, I know this is an issue in every single rural destination in California. You know, we had people bringing up their trailers and just setting up kind of camps for the summer, not minding fire restrictions or fire ring rules. And so this campaign, both in print and in digital, and we have an app now, was extremely successful. 2020 versus 2021, we saw a large or huge difference in visitor behavior when it comes to dispersed camping and camping in general. So this is a major effort for the entire east side, both Mono and Inyo counties, and was a major success for us. Go ahead, Jonathan. And then the last thing I'll touch on here, again, with sustainability and visitor education, we have several different agencies throughout Mono County. We have 2 different forests, BLM, private campgrounds. Earlier on this summer, each jurisdiction kind of had a different rule on fire restrictions. Some were in tier 1, some were in tier 2. But we got to the point where everybody was in the most restrictive tier. And so we thought, now that we're all on the same page, we can say that all of Mono County, the fire bans are in for all of Mono County. So we created this flyer, again, blasted out through social media and printed it and put it on business doors and made it crystal clear that there were no fires, no wood fires, no charcoal fires, and no fireworks anywhere in Mono County at this time. And I think it was a big success. I know we personally got a lot a lot of inquiries on what exactly this means. Can I have, a barbecue pit for cooking? And really just getting down to exactly what this means and educating our visitors and preventing, another major fire in our region. So these are some of the main things I brought to attention over the last 2 years since we haven't seen each other in person. But again, we're slowly moving from, destination marketing to destination management and educating our visitors and making sure they know what to expect before they get into market here in Mono County. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that update and great work. I love the creative. And now I'll ask Jen to join us, Jen Lopez from Tuolumne County.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm Jen Lopez, the marketing manager from Visit Tuolumne County, and I'll just take a few minutes to share some of the projects and programs that have come out in the past year or so in regards to Visit Tuolumne County and Tuolumne County as a destination. So first and foremost, we wanted to ensure visitors that they would be safe when they visited. So soon after COVID began, the Visit Tuolumne County team developed the Tuolumne County Healthy Pledge program, in which local businesses of all types could voluntarily commit to creating and providing a clean, safe, and healthy environment for residents and visitors. Not only does the program contribute to Visit Tuolumne County's focus on sustainability and responsible travel, it reinforces confidence among travelers that they can feel safe when visiting Tuolumne County. The team was proud to have the support of the Tuolumne County Public Health Department on this program, which is still active today, with nearly 80 businesses having signed up. The businesses don't need to be members of Visit Tuolumne County to participate. All businesses are welcome, and as they sign up, are listed on a dedicated page on visittuolumne.com, our website. And VTC members do have an icon displayed on their listings and detail page, which you can see here for one of our bed and breakfasts here in outside of Groveland. You can go ahead, Jonathan. So the past year and a half has proven to be a time to escalate our sustainability efforts. As Jeff said, this is an urban visitors going to rural areas in masses and aren't quite sure what to do once they're in the outdoors. So it was definitely time to escalate sustainability efforts. The team developed a plan to help ensure residents and visitors have a beautiful and resilient place to live, work, and play. And the plan is based on 5 pillars. Protect the environment and cultural and historical resources and regional identity, protect and enhance resident quality of life, foster a vibrant economy, provide for an excellent visitor experience, and ensure the enjoyment by future generations. From in-office initiatives to more visible aspects like a Leave No Trace billboard located on one of the corridors leading into Tuolumne County, and a partnership with Pinecrest Expedition Academy to plant a new grove of giant sequoias at Kennedy Meadows, which you can see some children planting a baby sequoia there. The team is not only sharing the message, but we're also living it. Another new program that has come out over the past few months, and unfortunately I don't have a slide for it here, but it's the Tuolumne County Trailheads program. And Trailheads is designed to help visitors enjoy the outdoors and serve as a resource for hikers, bikers, horseback riders, and trail enthusiasts. The program includes a downloadable map of 12 trails in Tuolumne County, a landing page with expanded interactive map of trails, and the ability for visitors to earn badges as they complete the trails. The program also includes tips about adventuring responsibly. So this program was in part a way to disperse crowds throughout Tuolumne County and have people go out and enjoy different trails, and there's an incentive for doing so. There is also a winter trails program in the works as well. So the next slide, please, Jonathan. Oh, you're there. All right. So Visit Tuolumne County consistently shares messages about adventuring responsibly beyond Leave No Trace. We recently released a wildfire toolkit for our members and partners as a way to support one another through effective and streamlined communication with visitors in the event of a wildfire, and to help spread messaging about preventing wildfire. This toolkit puts the important information about prevention and preparedness at the fingertips of our local businesses to share with visitors. And the toolkit includes a downloadable infographic, which you can see here, highlighting ways for visitors and residents to help prevent wildfire. Sample social media posts to share, talking points about what visitors should know about wildfire and other emergencies, links to the Tuolumne County evacuation plan, and also the emergency preparedness video, which Dory had mentioned earlier and put a link to in the chat, and also links to the official information outlets, including the Tuolumne County Sheriff's Department and the Office of Emergency Services, who we do emphasize as the sources of official information, such as evacuations in the event of a fire or other emergency. And we are proud to have gotten the support of the Tuolumne County Office of Emergency Services on this project. So finally, I will just finish up with some unrelated news for this upcoming winter, and it seems to be approaching quickly. Dodge Ridge Mountain Resort, formerly Dodge Ridge Ski Resort, is under new ownership after 45 years of being owned by Frank and Sally Helm. And Dodge Ridge will join the Powder Alliance, a global reciprocal program that includes the likes of China Peak and Sierra at Tahoe. We look forward to a snowy winter and welcoming visitors to enjoy their time at Dodge Ridge, and also Leland High Sierra Snow Play for fun and safe winter play this winter. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you, Jeff, too. I think you've both really demonstrated how the destination management and community involvement stands out beyond the marketing that we do. So today, I'm going to be speaking to the slides, but not necessarily the content of the slides. So I suggest maybe reading along to the slide content. Each of us DMOs is covering just different aspects of what DMO work is done. So today I'm going to focus kind of on the trudging day in and day out DMO marketing functions versus our COVID efforts. The Tourism Bureau, Mariposa County Tourism Bureau, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It was created by the lodging industry through a tourism improvement district and managed by a board of directors comprised of community members and lodging industry professionals, all of whom's interest is focused on the economic vitality of the region. And so I'm really going to run through kind of the marketing channels and the things that we do day to day, but there is a lot of other important work that we do, and all of us do, and have been thrust into that management organization status in most communities throughout the state. And we're being asked by local, regional governments to get involved in crisis management, communications, grant application support, economic development, as well as helping solve employment and housing and transportation issues. Most DMO staffs are members of multiple volunteer boards and organizations. Mariposa County is a big county, but it's a small population. Mariposa County is dependent on tourism with total population of just north of 17,000. To put that in perspective, the town of Oakhurst in Madera is almost 13,500. But 52% of all Mariposans work in the tourism industry, and many more work for state, federal, and county governments that are also tied to tourism. The county's general fund is primarily funded through transient occupancy tax, and our funding comes through that TBID. Each of us, and I'll speak for Mariposa County Tourism Bureau, sets key performance indicators to measure our success. Our primary goals are lodging, restaurant, and activity planning and business referrals from consumers and to businesses. And so through our outbound sales and marketing efforts, the Tourism Bureau provided over 1 million direct business referrals, 1 million direct clicks into businesses' websites in Mariposa County last year. All of our KPI goals were significantly exceeded, and our overall website sessions we're at a historic high. We had over 3.2 million unique visitors, representing over 7 million page views that went to Yosemite.com. I will tell you all that that type of traffic the last couple of months has really dropped off, and we're surprised with the end of the reservation system. We're just not seeing a big bounce back. So educating and influencing visitation behavior is primarily achieved through the content that we produce, most of which is focused on Mariposa County and Yosemite National Park, not just the park, which I think was the case in the past. So we created a huge 64 full-length tourism articles this last year, much of which highlighted the county's rich history and culture. But those articles are the key to our success when it comes to organic visitation, the newsletters, and much of the marketing that we do. Social media has quickly risen to be the most consumed and most successful marketing platform. So our social media ads continue to outperform all other forms of marketing, but we see a click-through rate on our sponsored and other posts that's 4 times the industry benchmark. I always joke, it's great to be promoting Yosemite and not Duluth or Cleveland. Nothing against them, but when you look at the type of engagement that we have, our social media channels, and I'm just going to highlight 1 or 2 of them, have seen 120% growth in followers and fans over the last 3 years. Yosemite Nation is our branded tag or hash. And then when you look at the type of engagement that we're seeing, exponential growth. People were stuck at home during COVID, an 865% increase in engagement during the COVID period. And again, we were just trying to keep people dreaming and engaged about our destination, the things that they could do here, and how to travel safely and when they could travel again. So again, just an example of Instagram, which we've seen very similar growth and engagement. During COVID, because we couldn't do a lot of our normal marketing, we shifted to video production and created 32 videos and several series during the downtime. A lot of focus on the modern day pioneers. Programs were developed to focus on really interesting people that lived in the area, that loved the region, and as such, as entrepreneurs, built unique businesses. And so rather than promoting business, we're introducing people to these unique locals, living their dream and creating entrepreneurial businesses. So we had an incredible number of engagements with those. The Mariposa Gold was historic moments, we're kind of dreaming, and other videos that we created. We actually won a major award for our reopening video that we introduced when the park reopened last year. Many of us offer cooperative marketing programs, and these are just a few examples within the print area. We add value to our businesses and business community by offering these co-op buys. We're able to negotiate and get large purchases of content and then allow small businesses to engage and place smaller ads where financially these would be unattainable as individual businesses. And then we also create full newspaper inserts on a regular basis. A lot of the content that I mentioned, those 64 different articles, then are used in these newspaper placements. We also have a huge owned media email marketing database. We sent out primarily this last year has been a combination of education and crisis management communications, as well as marketing. We produce a large amount of different printed collateral that support our small towns and businesses in the region. We also, in normal years, as funding allows, we promote both marketing-wise and financially to support events and festivals that bring visitation to our communities in the shoulder and off-season periods. And kind of lastly, public relations, we retain a public relations agency, and then Tony McDaniel is our director of communications. We host dozens of travel writers and influencers in the region and host those stays and bring them around the county to talk about everything there is to see and do here. And earned editorial is much more valuable than paid. I mean, when you're reading a major publication, anything that's produced by a travel writer, I think you're going to enjoy and believe more and inspire to be traveled more than if it's a paid placement. So there's a lot of different channels that I didn't cover, but I just thought it would be good to give you a glimpse of the type of work that we're doing. And I will say again, it's very important to communicate to us if you have information that you need to share, education areas, we're happy to do that. And another time I'll share the education programs that we've created over this last year. But I'm going to move on to Rhonda with Madera County, and thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Jonathan. Can I just say ditto to everything everybody said? Everybody has great programs and we all work so closely together. I love our Fort Gateway, camaraderie and all the great ideas. I always write notes and try to steal things from you guys. So thank you. I was thinking of, what do we describe the last year and a half? So I did this word cloud of words that I never thought I'd be using as much as we've been using, and thought it would be fun just to kind of put that into words, what our DMO has been doing besides advertising, welcoming visitor center and things like that we normally talk about. So that was just kind of a fun slide. Go ahead to the next one, please. So ready, set, pivot. Pivot's another word that we've never used so much, and I don't like it anymore, but we just keep seeming to pop up again. 2019 was California's biggest tourism year in the history of what we've all counted. So we were all really excited doing our budget and going into 2020, to see what we can do better. And we kind of shifted our focus from, quantity to quality of visitors as we were going into 2020. And our top priorities were kind of disbursement. We've been talking about that for years. We were really focusing on dispersing through the midweek versus weekend, seasonal, trying to really highlight what's in Madera County, why you want to come here, and of course Yosemite as well. But as we all know, Yosemite in the summer gets pretty busy. So what this group, our Yosemite Gateway DMO partners, have been working on for the last 7 years is kind of messaging on how we disperse, because nobody wants a visitor to sit in line for 2 hours in the valley. It doesn't help anything. So we were really focusing on that. And then we really started to jump on board a little more with our Recreate Responsibly messaging. And I'll show you just a fun thing that we've come up with. We just published not yet. Thank you. I'll show you that in a few minutes, but so our Recreate Responsibly messaging, critters, our little welcoming committee that we've come up with that will be throughout our visitors guide. But so we were all excited to do this. Then, as everybody knows, the world turns upside down. So we became even more of a destination management company. We focused on communication, as all of us did. Our tourism partners, our lodging industry, everybody just relied on us. They didn't know if they could open. They didn't know what the cleaning protocols, all those things were. So of course we were working with Visit California and Cal Travel and spreading this messaging that was so helpful for everybody. We were, helping with fundraisers around town, trying to keep people employed, businesses open, things like that. Just trying to keep our staff employed when we were at home for a month was, heartbreaking in a way that we had to lay off some people, but we were able to bring them back, which was good. We stopped advertising we're a marketing organization, to stop advertising was just crazy. And then we just put out, like everybody else, kind of pictures of when you're ready to travel, when it's safe to travel, come on back, we're ready for you. And then we, as Jeff was mentioning, as everybody mentioned as well, I think Tawny from Bishop said it best. She said, thousands of first-time campers descended on the area and didn't know what the heck they were doing and left trash and critters were in everything. And it was just this craziness when we started to get back opening. And then the Yosemite day use reservations, how do we navigate it? How do we communicate it? How 90% of our visitors hadn't heard about the reservations coming into our visitor center. So how do we keep them occupied and things like that? Although how anybody traveled during COVID and didn't really research their travel destination was beyond me, but that was our reality. And then the creek fire hit. So then we had a whole nother, which of course we're all used to fire, but we had a whole nother 4 months of trying to navigate through what was happening in our forest and our Sierra National Forest and our scenic byway, which we were trying to desperately use to disperse visitation from Yosemite. Half of that was burned. So it was a really, it's been an interesting time. So next slide, please. So some of the things we did, this is just one program we did during last year, during 2020. We had some time to really work on, like Jonathan said, some videos, some different itineraries and blogs and series. We really worked on our assets. So we put out this natural social distancing series, telling people that, hey, it's safe to come in, and here's some things to do that can social distance you and keep you safer and keep our family here, everybody who works here, is safe. One thing I forgot to mention as well is we worked really closely with Madera County, with their public health department, distributing hand sanitizer, masks, doing the Madera County pledge, distributing posters everywhere. And then we did our own help keep us open stickers that we put on different businesses. Next slide, please. So I don't know if everybody's seen this. Hopefully you've all seen our welcoming committee, but this year in our visitors guide that we just put to bed, we really focused on getting kind of the families, the kids involved, and really using our critters that we had that we've been using for a while to put out the messaging that, come here, you're welcome, but respect it, protect it, and while you're enjoying it as well. So we made our little critters, giving them messaging for, be fire wise, reduce, recycle, leave no trace. The same, same thing. Our little Sandy character lives in, our squirrel who lives in Yosemite, please don't feed the animals, things like that. And our little honeybee to be safe. And then we also wanted to do everyone's welcome messaging to make sure that we're welcoming the world back to our destination. So I'll end on our little happy critter note.
Because I have to unmute. Thank you, Rhonda. And I like the tarantula character. And I'd take a T-shirt of that one if you ever do them. So
Got it.
we know that was a huge download. Over the years, the destination management organizations, there's been time that's been set aside in the October meetings. I think the last couple of years we've had Visit California, Carolyn Batetta, or others come and present, dealing with post-fire and fire recovery, but a wide range of things that we do. We are your partners in the gateways. We do work closely. There's also three rural three rural groups that we work together with, and counties beyond our gateway. We have a High Sierra a Gold Country and a Central Valley group, depending on our counties and where they touch. We co-sponsor with Visit California to work on marketing and other destination plans within those groups too. So I'd like to open it up to a few questions. We have a little bit of time. And I'd also, yeah, I'd like to open up for a few questions. I will mention that originally we planned on a panel discussion. We just, because of the lack of time, we thought that doing it this way would be more efficient. There were 5 questions that came in. We'll try to see if we can get answers back to the people that submitted those questions for the panel, although most of them were probably more public land related. But if anybody has a question, wants to raise a hand, we'll answer some of those before we have about 4 minutes to be able to do that before we transition to NPS. And if you don't ask, I'm going to ask a couple of my peers. So we'd much rather get some questions from any of you if you want to unmute and ask or raise your hand. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of the questions that did come in. So Ron, I'm going to pick on you first. So one of the questions that came in was, how does a resident keep up with closure and current information? Which ones are lifted and how to better schedule time to enjoy national forests, national parks, or other federal run areas for recreation?
Well, they, you know, we did a lot of, you know, local business messaging. We don't really have a newspaper anymore. We do have an online paper, so we work closely with them to get our even tourism messaging, our local business messaging out to local, just local people. So you can, you know, that was a big source. We had our travel alerts, any kind of alerts on our website as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Karen sent a question. Do you monitor Sierra National Forests when they are when they close the forests? And so I think all of us that are touched by the Sierra National Forest, certainly Madera County it's a big area of recreation as it does come into Mariposa too. But Alex Olo, the Public Information Affairs Office, and other communications come through press releases and information. We share those on our website. We also share those updates on our social media and many other channels. Hundreds of thousands of people see those notifications when they come out. And as you've heard me say repeatedly, you need to share with us because we can't share if you're not sending the information directly to us as entities. And there was a huge amount of confusion when the national forests were closed. Many news outlets picked those up as Yosemite National Park or national parks. So we worked with Visit California, Ryan Becker, we worked with Scott and others to actually have articles in USA Today, the Los Angeles Times, and other major papers adjust or correct their stories. And in some cases, remove images of Yosemite National Park with a Forest Service message. So we absolutely do. I'm going to turn it back to Jeff Gabriel, our YGP president. He's got a couple things to share and then do introductions to start off with the National Park Service. So on behalf of all of us DMOs, thank you for your time and attention today.
Great, thanks, Jonathan, and the group for making your presentation today. That was great. Thank you very much. Rosemary, if you have a question or?
Yeah, I do. If it's okay. Otherwise, I have a question for Jeff, and probably maybe you and Bob Gardner as well. I am particularly interested in the wildfire information the slide that he put up. That's a big issue for folks who live like me and my constituents in El Portal who live close to the Merced River Canyon. And I wondered, I think you said that you got the different agencies to come together and coordinate with respect to the level of fire restrictions. And I wondered how you did that.
So no, we didn't work with them to all, come together to have the same. It just happened to be that way. And so what's
Oh,
tough for
okay.
us is, yeah, we have, visitors that come up and we have several different boundaries, between the 2 national forests, the BLM, the national park, private land, all these things. And our visitors just don't know each jurisdictions and where those lines are. And so you may be able to have a fire here, but 2 miles down the road, you may not be able to. And so
Yeah.
we tried to educate as much as we could, but eventually it got to the point where everyone had a fire ban. And that's when we decided to go out with the large message that said fire restrictions in place for all of Mono County. There is no boundaries here. All of Mono County now is in a fire restrictions. But even again, I know there were fires were allowed above 10,000 feet in Yosemite National Park, which boundaries, quite a bit of our county. So just trying to make sure that the messaging is clear and the rules were clearly stated for visitors so they knew in advance when they got here. But no, we did not actively work with those agencies unless that was done maybe at the supervisor level.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
okay.
jump in, Rosemary, and my colleague Stacy Cronus can add. We did this year and last year try to work with all the jurisdictions and say, hey, you're not consistent. And we never, how shall I put it politely, never miss an opportunity to highlight contradictions, especially when we have 2 national forests. And as Jeff rightly points out, people don't say, oh, wow, I'm going into the Humboldt-Toyabe now. I'd better check on fire restrictions. Or, oh, I just stepped into BLM land. I'd better check on fire restrictions. Or I'm in a county park. I better check on fire restrictions. And so we've said, come on, talk to each other. And I think this year we had more success on that. But that's always a challenge and something that has, sort of short-term strategies in terms of dealing with it at the moment, but frankly has some long-term issues in terms of the boundaries of a lot of these agencies. And perhaps Supervisor Corliss, you may want to add.
Well, yeah, I'll just add that we early on before Memorial Day, we reached out to try to get some alignment among federal land management agencies, and we weren't entirely successful, but I think at least we got the conversation started. And we, on private lands within the county, and we have a county operated campground, we did work to make sure that our own county fire restrictions were in alignment, mostly with the Inyo National Forest. That's where our campground is adjacent to the Inyo. But we've just gotten a request from our fire safe councils in the region to work on this issue ahead of next year and try to advocate for clear and probably more aggressive campfire restrictions earlier than ever. So I'm sure that's something we'll continue to work on and can report back on.
Great.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. What we wanted to do was to be able to squeeze in real quickly before I turn it over to Scott at 11 o'clock is that we wanted to do a quick poll to see from those who were in attendance. So I'm going to put it up, and the poll's asking how you would like the January quarterly meeting to be formatted. So I'm going to put that poll up if you can start your response to it, and then at the 11th hour, I'm going to turn it over to Scott so that the National Park Service can get their part. And we do appreciate Cicely and her staff being available to make their next presentation. So thank you. Appreciate that. I don't know who did that, but thank you. So anyway, if you could quickly vote, I think most of you probably have had the experience of voting on Zoom. So if you wouldn't mind answering the question of either Zoom only, a hybrid, which would be an in-person and a Zoom as well, or in-person only. So
could you flash it up real quick again?
Yeah.
Disappeared.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what happened.
There you go.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you for that. I was like going, wait a minute, only one person answered it. What? Okay.
That sounds good, Rosemary.
Yeah, 51.
Oh, sorry. Got allergies.
All right. If you would please. Vote there. We'll give it a couple more seconds. We have 52 of 72, so it's okay. We have no idea how you voted. This is all anonymous. Don't worry. And you can vote only once, not twice. All right. Well, we'll just go ahead and end the poll so we can get on to the park. And so thank you everybody that did answer the question and so forth. And if you didn't get a chance to vote, please just put your comments in the chat. So we are certainly, the great thing about these quarterly meetings, besides the opportunity for us to be